George and the Dragon's Heart, a Viking's unlikely friendship. A special bedtime story for George. Once upon a time, in a world where Vikings and dragons roamed the lands, there lived a young boy named George. George was a brave and curious Viking, always yearning for adventure. His dream was to become a legendary dragon hunter, just like his father and his father before him. Little did he know, his life was about to take an unexpected turn. In the village of Embark, George's home, dragons were seen as dangerous creatures. The Vikings believed they were fierce and ruthless, always ready to attack. But George couldn't help but feel a sense of curiosity about these creatures. He wondered if dragons were truly as evil as everyone believed. Deep down, he wanted to find out for himself. One day, while exploring the outskirts of the village, George stumbled upon a small cave hidden among the cliffs. Inside the cave, he discovered a baby dragon. It was a rare night fury, with jet black scales and mesmerizing green eyes. The dragon was scared and alone, just like George felt sometimes. Instead of running away or attacking, George approached the dragon cautiously. He saw fear in its eyes, but also a glimmer of something else. Compassion. George knew he had to help this dragon. He named him Midnight, for the time they first met. George took Midnight under his wing, quite literally. He built a small shelter for him in the woods, away from the prying eyes of the villagers. Every day, he would bring Midnight food and water, and they would spend hours together, playing and learning from each other. They became the best of friends, despite the odds. As time went on, George realized that dragons were not the mindless monsters they were believed to be. Midnight was kind and gentle, fiercely loyal to George. He could understand human emotions, and even communicate in his own dragon way. George discovered that dragons were intelligent creatures, capable of love and friendship. But their secret friendship couldn't stay hidden forever. One day, a group of Vikings stumbled upon George and Midnight in the woods. They were furious at the sight of a Viking befriending a dragon. They saw it as a betrayal to their kind. A fierce conflict arose between George's village and the dragons. Midnight's existence put both him and George in danger. George had to make a choice to stand by his friend or to protect his village. It was a difficult decision, but deep down, George knew what he had to do. He decided to speak to the village chief, Stoik the Vast, and the wise dragon trainer, Hiccup. He told them about Midnight, about their friendship, and about the dragon's true nature. He asked for a chance to prove that dragons could coexist with Vikings peacefully. Stoik and Hiccup were skeptical at first, but George's earnestness and Midnight's gentle nature convinced them to give it a try. They called a meeting with the villagers, where George and Midnight showed everyone how their friendship had changed their perspective. The villagers were amazed and touched by the bond between George and Midnight. They realized that dragons were not all evil, and that they had been living in fear for no reason. The conflict was resolved, and the village of Embark welcomed the dragons with open arms. From that day forward, George became an ambassador for Viking-dragon relations. He traveled to different Viking tribes, spreading the message of peace and friendship. Midnight was always by his side, a symbol of the newfound understanding between Vikings and dragons. And so, George's dream of becoming a dragon hunter changed. He didn't want to hunt dragons anymore. Instead, he wanted to protect them, to be their friend and advocate. He realized that true bravery didn't lie in killing dragons, but in standing up for what you believe in, even when it's hard. As George grew older, he became known as George the Dragonheart, the Viking who tamed a dragon with kindness. His story was told far and wide, inspiring generations to come. And every night, as George lay in bed, he would look up at the stars and thank Midnight for showing him the true meaning of friendship. And so, dear George, remember this tale when you close your eyes tonight. Be brave, be kind, and always follow your heart. For in the most unlikely places, you might find a friend who will change your life forever, just like George and the dragon's heart. Good night, George. Sleep tight and dream of your own adventures in the land of dragons.